So by now, you've probably received your PPP funds and have no idea how to record them in your accounting software. In this video, I'm going to show you step by step on how to record these funds in QuickBooks Online. So if you're interested, keep on watching. Now, a lot of accountants are recommending their clients to open up a separate checking account and deposit the PPP funds into that account. While I agree that is probably the best way to track it, right now it's very difficult for people to get into the banks and open up the account. So if you can't do that, that's okay. There are ways to still be able to clearly track the funds and the expenses for the funds. So let's get into that. So the first thing I want to talk about is setting up the loan. So now that you received your loans, let's set it up in your accounting software. So this loan will be treated as a liability, not free income, until it is determined how much of the loan is forgiven. So until then, it's going to sit on our books as a liability. Now, there are two types of liability. You have a current liability and a long-term liability. For purposes of this loan, my recommendation is for you to set it up as other current liability. So let's go ahead and jump into QuickBooks and see how we set up a loan liability account. So the first thing you want to do is go into accounting and select your chart of account. So from there, you're going to go to new, and under account type, you're going to select other current liability. Your detail type is going to be loan payable, and the name is going to be PPP loan payable. And for those of you who don't know, PPP stands for Payroll Protection Program. You will hear me use that acronym a lot during this video. So once you've clicked save, it will appear in your chart of accounts. Now, the next thing you want to do is create the PPP bank account in your accounting software. So let's jump back into QuickBooks and see how that's done. So to create your new bank account, you want to go back to your chart of accounts by going to accounting, chart of account, select new. Under account type, you're going to leave it bank. Now, under detail type, you can either select cash on hand or checking account. I'm going to go ahead and show you both. It really doesn't matter, but let's go ahead and do both of them. So you have under name PPP Bank, and then description, I'm going to type in received spending for PPP loan, and then save and close. So as you can see here, we have our PPP Bank set up, and under detail type, it says cash on hand. You can leave cash on hand, or you can go ahead and edit and change that to checking, and then save and close, yes. And then you can see here, it'll change it back to checking account. It doesn't matter. Either way, you're still going to be able to pull your reporting. I'm going to go ahead and leave it as checking for purposes of this example. So before you can actually record the income on your books, you need to set up your lender in your accounting software. So head over to expenses, select vendor. You want to make sure you add your lending institution, so whoever processed your loan. So we're going to go ahead and type in Bank of PPP Loan and save. So now we've went ahead and added our lender into our vendor list. So now let's go ahead and record our PPP loan income. So to do that, we need to make a deposit. So let's go to new, bank deposit. And then we want to select our PPP bank under account, and you want your date to be the deposit date of the funds. Received from is going to be the bank of PPP loans, and the account is going to be the PPP loan payable account. And in the description, you want to make sure you add receipt of PPP funds. And then in the amount, you want to add the amount that was received. Let's go ahead and just make up a number. We'll go ahead and add in 80,000. And now if we go into our chart of accounts under PPP Bank, we can see that we have a balance of 80,000. So that's how you record the deposit. So now that we've covered how to record the funds in your accounting software, let's go ahead and record a expense to those funds. So I would recommend that you use your normal operating bank account to pay for expenses that are incurred, even if they're related to the PPP loan. But after each payment is made, make a transfer to the PPP bank account that we'd set up in your books. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to create a reimbursement in your operating account so we can account for those expenses on that PPP bank account. So let's get into that. So to create a transfer, all you have to do is go to New, under Other, select Transfer, and the funds are going to be the PPP bank to the checking account for, let's say, $1,300. And in the memo, we're going to type in health insurance for the month of April. And then we're going to go ahead and save and close. And now that you see our ending balance is $78,700, that's accounting for $1,300 of expenses. Now, I do not recommend that you combine multiple expenses into one transfer. Keep every expense separate. It's going to be easier to track that way. If you have payroll wages and payroll taxes and you want to combine that into one expense, that's perfectly fine, but I would not recommend combining payroll and like utilities in one transfer. So just make sure that they kind of go together. Now let's jump into the reporting. So obviously as a business owner, you want to know what that balance is looking like. So by doing all of this, this method creates a clear trail of PPP income and expenses. However, in QuickBooks Online, you can't pull a P&L for this information, but there are ways to still generate a report. So to generate a report in QuickBooks Online, this is what you have to do. So click on Reports. In the search bar, enter Transaction Detail by Account Report, and then we want to customize that report. So the report period is going to be all dates. The accounting method is going to be cash. Rows and columns, the change column, remove amount, number, and split. Let's add debit and credit. And then we're going to drag the order. So we want the order to be debit, credit, balance. And we're going to filter by distribution account, which is our PPP bank. And then we're going to go ahead and run the report. And let's go ahead and do header, footer, PPP bank report so we know what this report is. So now here, this report is going to give us the income and the expense that we created. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.